to our series of Unlocking Vals and Milonga using the tango that you already know. Argentina here with the game of Argentine tango, and we are back to help broaden the range of possibilities.
And increase our fun.
That's right. Indeed. Today's episode, we are going to be focusing on ochos. Again, classic move, but we can tweak these ochos. We can flavor them and change them up a little bit to make them much more amenable to our valse music and our milonga music. But let's start at square one, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Let's take a look at our basic tango forward and backward ochos. Incorporating these into our milonga has a little bit of tweaks to it.
Starting with the valse.
Starting with the valse.
They're like consistency sometimes.
So how do we flavor these to really match the valse music that we are listening to?
How we use our body, that we're more open and flowing in our movements.
Because the valse is typically danced on just the one, that leaves us 2 and 3, a few extra beats. So let's take a look at how we can tweak the forward ocho by creating a little bit of lowering. What you can do is give your partner a chance to really milk that ocho. The follower can choose to leave the leg nice and long in a more half moon type of movement. And again, if the leader is lovely enough to provide us a leg to crawl up on, we can take advantage of that. But that is a way of just flavoring the forward ocho a little bit to match what you're hearing, that lyrical side.
I like that word you used, flavor.
So again, with the valse, take your time, keep the rise and fall. We don't have to tweak our ochos that much because I feel like ochos already lend themselves so nicely to the feel of valse.
Yes.
Yeah. Milonga is where it gets a little bit trickier because milonga doesn't always lend itself to nice, soft, flowy, take your time type of movements. So I feel like we have to make more adjustments transitioning the ocho into milonga than we do for valse.
Right. So in the milonga, because we do things in a tighter, more rhythmical fashion, everything becomes smaller, and we have a new name for it, ochos, ochitos.
Yes.
Little ochos.
I figure it wouldn't take our audience long to figure that out. So yes, instead of doing the full 180 as we typically think of with ochos, not that you can't do that in milonga, you certainly can, but you might find that the ochitos fit the faster, more rhythmical nature of the music itself.
Right. We can also do what are called milonguero ochos, which are flat. That is, we're not curving each one, but we'll
demonstrate.
We'll demonstrate, yeah.
In fact, let's start with the back ochos because I feel like those definitely take on almost a whole different look than your tango back ochos.
Right.
So what Arjun is doing there is he is keeping his upper body fairly quiet. And this is what prevents that feeling of, oh, I have to turn that whole 180-degree turn, right? The fact that it is quite flat, as he referenced it before, which I think is a good term for it, very minimal upper body lead for these particular ochos.
It's just the zigzag is inviting my partner's free leg to move in a zigzag fashion.
Exactly. So followers don't get too hung up on the typical technique of, oh, I must rotate through that supporting leg before carrying on. This is one of those examples that kind of breaks that rule, where because I am not getting a lot of upper body rotation, and because it is mostly through the legs, I am literally just bringing that leg underneath my body.
And now let's show the forward ones, which involve a somewhat different technique.
Completely different.
We can go this way.
Here we are. Ta-da! So these can be traveling. We can do them circular, where the leader is circling around the follower is circling around the leader. We have covered ochitos in another video that we will link here if you are looking for more inspiration as far as that goes. And yes, very different, because I felt that the back kind of milonguero, ochos, being very flat. These I did not feel was flat. I felt a much more increase of tone throughout the frame. You compressed the energy. And more importantly, you held boundaries.
Yeah.
I think for me to work
in a
with
sense, it's kind of like the rebote, where each step is a rebound. I'm blocking this off, blocking this off, blocking this off.
That's a great way of thinking about it. Yes. So if you have patterns that in tango would incorporate quite a bit of forward ochos, playing around with these ochitos can actually help you to continue to use the patterns that you know, but just tweaking them a little bit to our milonga.
That concludes yet another in our series of how to play with our patterns, our figures and movements, so that we can more closely express what's happening in the music, whether that be tango, vals, or milonga, using what we already know.
Yes, that's the exciting part, right? We're not asking you to learn a whole bunch of new patterns. We're just asking you to recognize characteristically, how do we change up the stuff we know? So we look forward to seeing you in the next one, where we will continue to work through unlocking Vals Milonga using the tango you know. Until then,
Abrazos.
Al oír los primeros compases del bar, no ha tenido intención de bailar, si hasta parece que el mundo en su eterno rodar girara el compás de algún bar. Si usted ha soñado en sus brazos poder estrechar a esa rubia que encanta al mirar, juntos, muy juntos los dos estarán, si siguen el ritmo del bar. Soñar, dejarse arrullar, decir al oído palabras tan dulces que invitan a amar. Soñar, siguiendo el compás, cerrando los ojos, muy cerca la boca es el sueño del bar.